Good morning.
Hello, how are you?
I guess it's not technically morning for you.
No,
I'm
it's
good.
late afternoon.
Yeah, late afternoon for you, early morning for me.
Yeah, all right. It is early actually for you. How are you doing?
Good, doing pretty well. Been super busy, so just trying to stay the course with everything I've got going on, and that's been it's been taking up quite a bit of my time between the jobs and podcasts and everything else that I've got going on. So staying busy, which is good, but tiring.
Busy, which is busy and tiring.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you have two day jobs?
Just have, well, I have one that is my, what I call my 9 to 5 job. And then I have everything else besides that are just entrepreneur type ventures that between like podcast, writing, speaking, stuff like that. So, um, coaching, stuff like that.
Okay, so wow, busy.
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to, my long term slash short term goal is to, leave the 9 to 5 in the near future and just focus on the other things that I've got going on, that the things that I really want to do with my time. And so yeah, just grinding away, trying to make that happen.
Right. What do you do to make that happen?
Well, for me, it's a lot of it is I'm not a super. Um, I've when it comes down to planning, I've really got to put my attentions down and create kind of a schedule. Otherwise, I just want to kind of fly by the seat of my pants, right? And just ideas will come to mind. So sometimes I find myself working on 3 or 4 different things at the same time, and it's like, okay, wait, I got to take a step back because I'm not. I can multitask to an extent, but I really prefer to put my focus in on, I would rather focus on one task than multiple tasks at one time. But sometimes the creative juices start flowing and I get these ideas, and then I find myself kind of stretching myself thin over a couple different, tasks or ideas. So I've got to rope myself in. So I've been trying to schedule better and also trying to find areas that I can delegate some of the work that I do. I could either hire somebody or find somebody that's willing to do it, and get some of those tasks that I don't necessarily need to perform,
Right.
get those off of my plate. But of course, that takes money and time, and so trying to balance those 2 things can be a little bit difficult at times. But I just every day get up and put forth my attentions and kind of look at my schedule and figure out what I need to work on for that day, and then try to attack it. So
Right. Because what you said was good, like in terms of the beginning about multitasking. We always, anyway, focus on one thing at a time.
yeah.
Even if we've got a few things going, we always, and to maybe just, as you say, plan to like, right, I'm just going to do, even though I've got to do these 3 things today, at the moment I'm doing this one right now.
Right. Yeah, and I can definitely get shiny object syndrome. So find myself working on one task and then I get an idea. So then I'm off to work on the other task. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I got to finish that one. So I'm getting a little bit better. I mean, I'm getting better at it. I'm scheduling things, writing things down, attacking the list, from a level of importance and what will really benefit my cause the most. I guess on the bright side, the one thing I look at from a positive standpoint of being busy, I get, it does make me, by the end of the day, the end of the evening, I'm pretty tired, so I'm ready for bed. So I have been getting to bed a little bit earlier than normal, which is allowing me to get a little more sleep. So I feel better than, I do when I only get 5 or 6 hours of sleep versus when I get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. So
Wonderful.
I feel a lot better. So that's, I look at that as a win for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and, so I've got that going on. And then of course I'm trying to focus on my health a little bit too, and get back to exercising and getting into the gym. So, I've got to, I look at it as I've got to take care of myself. If I don't take care of myself, my health, both physical and mental, then, I'm not going to be able to accomplish what I want to accomplish. So I need to put myself first. And that's hard for me to do sometimes, because I do like to put others, I like to help others. I like to be in service of others. So a lot of times I put that ahead of my own needs. So trying to get better at balancing that out. So I'm making sure that I'm giving myself the exercise, sleep, rest that I need to be successful as well. So
Right. It sounds like that's not something new, putting yourself last to you. That
yeah,
sounds like something you're very familiar with.
yeah, I usually always have put myself last, and I do, and I can become a bit of a workaholic at times, depending on what I've got going on. There's been times in my life where I find myself work and sleep, and that's it, and it's because I'm trying to I'm trying to do more for others than than I'm not thinking about myself in that moment. I'm thinking about others. So, I work, not because I always love working, but it's just, I feel like I've got to get this done or I'm going to let this person down. And, and I know, and I've come to realize, over time that, it's not really letting anyone down. It that's in my own psyche that I'm going to let somebody down. So that's been a pretty big focus of mine this year as well. It's just to make sure I give myself the attention as well, because I don't think I will do anybody any good if I'm tired, grumpy, not the brain's not firing on all cylinders. So
Right. And it's so interesting that you're working hard because you need to please others, and yet the working hard is also probably keeping you out of relationship. Not I'm not talking about specifically intimate relationship, out of relationship with people, because you're so busy working. It's almost like an addictive aspect of doing.
yeah.
And it keeps me, then I don't have to worry so much about relationships.
Yeah, the funny thing is
Please. Probably doesn't work like that. The very thing you're trying to do is not working out, it sounds like.
right. Yeah, because the funny thing is, while I'm trying to be everything that I'm doing for others, that does take away. Like, I don't have one thing I don't have I've never had a large circle of friends. I've always, my circle of like true friends, like people that that are more than just acquaintances, people that I've that are in that deeper level of friendship. I don't usually expand that. It's usually pretty small. And even with a small group of friends, there's a lot, I don't stay in touch as much as I would like to. And, and a lot of that is because while I'm trying to, everything I do, I'm doing because I want to make life better for someone else. And I have a lot of friends in that circle, as far as friends / acquaintances that I know. The work and trying to balance things out takes away from. I feel like it takes away from my ability to create deep, meaningful connections, because most of it is
Beautiful.
more service.
Pause there a minute.
Mm-hmm.
What does a deep, meaningful relationship look like to you?
For me, what I miss out on, or what I think I desire the most, is when things do settle down in the evening, and I kind of cut myself off and say, okay, work is done for the day. And I'm just kind of in that unwinding, getting ready to go to bed kind of mode. I want to, I always have this like desire. I want to talk to somebody. I want to have like a conversation. I want there to be, maybe go hang out with somebody, or somebody come hang out with me. Because when things get quiet, then I find I'm just alone. It's just me and my thoughts. And so I'd like, I wish I had somebody that I could call, or somebody that would call me, like something that it's not work related. It's not coaching related. It's just me and someone else, and just a desire to have a bond, and
Beautiful. A connection.
yeah, just a real connection that, kind of put the rest of the world to the side and just connect with somebody, see how they're doing. I talk about how I'm doing, things like that. I've never really had that. I mean, it's, even as I think through as far back, as I can go in my memories, I remember friends, and I do have some really good friends that I know that they would be there for me in a heartbeat if something happened, and I would be there from them. But there's not, like, we don't talk every day.
There has to be some kind of crisis for you to show up for each other. It's not just, I want to hang out with you, spend a few minutes chatting on the phone.
Right. Yeah.
And
So that's, I've always kind of had, I've never had anything like that. But now that I'm getting older, I feel that, because for a long time, I was very introverted, and I didn't mind being a lone wolf, and I was fine on my own. But as I've gotten older, and as I've changed and I've grown, I've become, while I'm still introverted in some ways, there is this extrovert that does want to come out, that wants to have those connections and those bonds. But because I stay so busy and fill my time with just everything that I've got going on, it's just something that when it's time to unwind, it's me. I'm just visualizing it. It's not really manifesting. So some kind of block there. And
so it's kind of like you're busy, not looking at it the whole day, and not creating the space to even connect, it sounds like, with yourself. It sounds like there's a younger, lonely Brian as a young boy.
Yeah, I think so.
He didn't have that connection, and he's longing for it.
And I can remember, and I know when I was younger that I can remember those feelings as a young child as well, not having true connections. Like I said, I had friends, but I would say from probably about, early on in childhood, I didn't really have too many friends. And then for a few years, a couple years, probably between the ages of 11 and 14, I did have a couple, some friends that I considered closer, that, we hung out every day. And of course, as kids, you just went to school, and then you kind of hung out, but then once I got into high school and I started working, because I needed to make, I had to support myself, and I moved out of my parents' house at 16. So I was growing up real fast, and that
And
was,
if you could just pause there and look at that a bit more closely, support yourself. That also sounds like it comes from way before 16, that was familiar to you. Like, I had to hang out there with myself.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I've always been a bit of a busybody as far as I can remember. Um, when I was a child, though, I would get lost in fantasy because, back when I grew up, kids still played with toys, unlike today. I think everybody's on the electronics, but I would get caught up in this fantasy world where I could go into my bedroom and set up all my action figures and all that stuff and get lost for hours in a story that's playing in my head. And then as I got older and I started to put those, it was time to put the toys aside and start thinking more, more grown up type thoughts. I didn't really have anything to replace that time where, I could get lost in fantasy. So, for me, it was just, well, stay busy, go to work.
There you go. It was replaced with work.
Yeah.
So fantasy took you away from the reality. What was going on in your life that you wanted to go away from?
I mean, I definitely had a dysfunctional upbringing. My mom worked a lot and usually odd hours, and she had to because she was pretty much the primary breadwinner. My stepfather and my father was out of the picture, and my biological father, and my stepfather and I did not get along, and that was very, emotionally abusive type situation. So for me, I distanced myself because I didn't want to interact. I knew if I was trying to interact with him, it wouldn't turn out good. And I didn't really, at least at those times, I didn't
turn out good.
Just the type of individual he was at that time, very angry. I think he was tormented from his past. And so all of that manifested into verbal, emotional type abuse. So if I did something he didn't agree with, insults would fly, would start to fly. If he was out, say, doing a bunch of yard work or working, and then he would come in and I'm sitting watching cartoons, insults, would start to fly. So I just did not enjoy being around him because I knew that if I was around him too long, then it was going to turn into, I was just going to end up hiding and crying anyways. So it was just easier for me to come home from school and lock myself in my room and get lost in, fantasy with toys or video. Well, I guess eventually it turned into video games, but, but then there came that point where it's like, okay, I'm too old. This doesn't entertain me anymore. So, at that point, what else do you do?
You wanted to get away from him, and your mom wasn't there to step in either.
Mm-mm.
So you learned very early on to just entertain yourself and manage your life by yourself.
Yeah.
Which you've continued into adulthood. Work will entertain me, and then comes the loneliness.
Yeah, and there was a stretch, though, once I got to be, so when I was a kid, of course, I had the toys, the different things that would take me away, that I could, comic books, things like that, that would take me away from reality. And then as I got older and old enough to, because I think I started working at about 14. But at 16, I was pretty much working full time and going to school full time. And then as I got into my 20s and 30s, and that I feel like that kind of manifested itself into, I had a lot of unhealthy relationships, a lot of with females, and relationships that I had no business being in. And I think usually that was, and I know for me, that was all about feeling validated, feeling, having that sense of worth to someone, compliments and different things, and intimacy would build me up and kind of take me to that, not necessarily fantasy, but I would have that same feeling, of happiness and joy. But then, once, as a relationship matures, there's not as much of the, you're not always complimenting each other. You're not always trying to hold hands and, do all the things that new couples would do. And so once that wore off, then I would kind of go back to like, all right, this isn't giving me what I need. So, I would move on to another relationship, which it was just a vicious cycle.
Beautiful insight that you needed to keep upping your game or changing it in order to be entertained and feel a sense of worth.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like, and I don't know, I've never been addicted to drugs or alcohol or anything like that. But I imagine that the things that I would chase, because when I would work because I wanted to be successful, and my definition of success has changed dramatically over the years. But, during my younger days, early 20s, more so early 20s and 30s, for me, working was about chasing success. Success was my drug. And by success at that time, it was creating wealth. And then there was also that other side of it, is like with the relationships. That was my drug. I was chasing this constant high of feeling like important, I guess, maybe, is, feeling
loved. It sounds like you felt loved for a brief time. So your kind of your self-esteem was built around performance-based, like if you could be successful / money, however many zeros that were, that made you feel good, which is also something you took on very young. You were, to be working. And could also have been a voice that you heard in the adult world, you got to work to be successful.
Right. Yeah. And I think a lot of times in my mind, it was success equaled money. And if I had money, then I had happiness, which I've learned isn't the case. But, then I'm thinking, well, if I had money, then I'm going to have friends. I'm going to have, everything I want, and I'll feel great. But of course, with money, you get a little bit more, and then you want, it's a constant chase to get more. And so eventually I took a long time, but then I learned, well, okay, it's not money that I'm after. It's a sense of belonging, a sense of importance, a sense of love. And but I'm still there. I mean, it's still every day a work in progress, because when I do find myself stretching my days longer and longer to get more in, it's like, okay, why am I doing this? Especially when I get to the point where I'm so tired that, if I'm ready for bed at 9 p.m., then I'm not a 9 p.m. kind of guy to go to bed. And when I'm exhausted at 9 p.m., I know I'm doing too much and I need to take a little bit off the plate.
So it's almost like you've got to push yourself so that you're actually numb by the end of the day. Like all I need to do is put my head on the pillow and forget the loneliness. And start this whole run on the treadmill again. And like you were saying, you had to push yourself more and more to get that same high. So work is essentially what it sounds like is the addiction at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, it usually comes down to that. If I can't, because I've outgrown the need for, constant validation through relationships. I've feel like I've healed. I mean, the want and the need is still there, but I've matured to the point where I'm not chasing a relationship for the sake of chasing a relationship. Like, I'm trying to just be grounded and know, and really I've learned, I think a lot of it's just learning to love myself and realize that I'm enough. But there's still that piece of me that wants a deeper, more meaningful relationship with someone. And I'm not talking like love as in marriage. I'm just somebody that I can really connect with and share my problems with. They can share their problems. It's just, a back and forth. Pardon me.
Kind
Really
of a
just
holding together.
Yeah, like a really strong friendship,
And I think that's a great segue into another time when we have more time to look at it. How can we lower work or get less of the high from work and invest more in creating those relationships, because they don't just kind of fall out the air.
Right.
Yeah. How are you feeling now as we come to the end?
I feel good. And yeah, I feel good. I'm just kind of in a neutral spot right now. I think with for me personally, I'm just kind of neutral. I'm not feeling super high. I'm not feeling super low. And I think a lot of that is just that I've been so busy. I'm keeping myself so busy that I'm just tired.
You're tired, and it sounds like you're not feeling.
Yeah, it's just kind of I'm just a neutral, just in the middle of it all. But I have a feeling, as I said, starting to go to bed a little bit earlier, and I have a feeling once I get that new routine down, I'll probably fluctuate up or down depending on how much time I allow myself to just be present. Which I'm it's work in progress. Always is work in progress. So yeah, but
Are you good for today?
yeah. I take it in the next time, and yeah, thank you. We'll talk again soon.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye.